Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Born and dead, saved by love. Count my blessings from above. Though in darkness, have no fear. Light will shine on those holding near. They know that sorrow they will pass. For I know in this life there will be something. But remember that love, yes it will. Love will reign. Yeah. Love will reign. Yeah. In my heart, I believe it. Love will reign. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have a vision. It's clear and plain. People living life, smiling again. Oh, see the children, they know no pain. Far from pressure, stress and strain. Oh, sorrow, they will pass. For I know in this life there's gonna be some pain. But remember that love, yes it will. I know. Yeah. Love will reign. Gotta believe it. In my heart, I truly believe. Sun will shine again, and love, I can hardly wait. We'll all be together. There'll be peace, peace, sweet peace, happiness and joy forever. Oh, yeah. One day, someday, pain will be over and love will reign. They won't last, for I know in this life there's gonna be some pain. But in the end, love will reign. Yeah.
Love Will Reign. That is one of my favorite songs in the entire world. We are so excited that Kiara Coleman Ward allows us to use, by permission, his music, the theme song of his project, Love Will Reign. I'm Marcus Holmes. I'm the love activist. I'm excited to be here tonight with you. So, whether you're watching us here live on the Facebook platform and all of the love groups that we're connected to on the Love and Stuff page or the Marcus R. Holmes page, if you're on LinkedIn Live with us, Twitch TV, YouTube events, Instagram Live, and TikTok Live, I hope that you will click share, tag 5 of your closest Facebook friends, subscribers, connections, followers, 5 of the more popular ones to join in tonight's discussion because I think that you don't want to miss a moment of this. So take a moment, click share right now, just like Roundtree did on TikTok. Click share and tag 5 of your closest friends, connections, followers, subscribers, 5 of the more popular ones to join in tonight's discussion all about your love, your relationships. I want you to know that tonight we are opening a door tonight, okay? Opening a door. And the door that we're opening is not just the door to healing, not just the door to relationships, but it's the one to truth, to accountability, and choosing love no matter what. Because healing in relationships doesn't always mean reconciliation. It doesn't even always mean staying in the relationship or staying the same in the relationship. It does mean facing the truth. And sometimes that truth is about ourselves, our pain, our struggles, our stories, the narratives that we've convinced ourselves are true, and our people within those relationships. And sometimes that truth stings. So, whether you're trying to forgive a partner, or reconnect with family, or repair a broken friendship, or a broken relationship, a professional relationship, the question that I want you to ask yourself tonight is, can we actually heal whether or not we are the cause of the break? Well, tonight joining me is a woman who helps people leap from pain into purpose. And she's the host of Taking a Leap. And I wanted to start tonight with a moment from her TED Talk because it so captured my attention, as I think it will do yours, right before I bring her on as a noted expert. And I'll tell you a bit more about her, but I want you to watch this.
Why are you texting my husband? I received that text one day. Just imagine, I'm at home busying myself like any ordinary day when I hear my phone chime. I ignored it. When not even a minute later, like rapid fire, I hear chime after chime after chime after yet another chime. Something must be going on. I check my phone only to discover those 6 words. Why are you texting my husband? My shock turns to horror as I read on to the final text.
You know, I had to give you a teaser. You got to watch the entire TED Talk of this phenomenal coach. I am so excited to have her here with us. Deborah Brown is the owner of Optimal Leap Coaching, and she invites you to take a leap. She's a certified life coach. She coaches for helping you in relationship with yourself, self confidence, self esteem, self image, time management, motivation, decisiveness, leadership, for personal relationship coaching, marriage, dating, divorce, breakups, loss, family, for professional relationship coaching for those of you that are tuning in on LinkedIn, improving your relationships with coworkers, peers, and direct reports. And she is a certified, uh, internationally certified life and relationship coach, as well as a TEDx speaker. You saw part of her TEDx. She left a technical background that began with a dual master's degree in engineering, followed by a 14-year tenure in IT consulting to pursue an advanced coaching education curriculum and step into her passion and purpose. She's passionate about helping individuals and couples build stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling connections. Her motto, a better me makes a better we, reflects her belief that strong relationships start with personal growth and self-love. With over 11 years, excuse me, of experience guiding people through communication challenges, self-discovery, and healing past hurts and healing from past hurts, she has navigated powerful transformations in the way people show up for themselves personally, professionally, and in their relationships. I want to welcome tonight. I'm so excited to have Deborah Brown. Deborah, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me, Marcus.
I'm so excited. And I have to ask you, what made you lead with that part in the TED Talk? As I was telling you in the green room, that just captured my attention because I'm thinking, now wait, Deborah didn't tell me she was the other woman. Wait, this is really going to be a great show. But really, you were, as it goes on, I won't spill it all because I want people to go watch that TEDx. That was a great, great segment. But you really were talking to her husband about helping them as a couple,
Yeah.
right? It's the work that you feel passionate and empowered to do. So tell us about this journey, how you got there. You went from engineering and IT consulting into your purpose and passion, which I love, Deborah, because people can live their life in a career and it not be their purpose or passion. So tell us a little bit more. Thank you for joining us.
True. This is my second career, you could say, the one that lights me up. But to tell you the truth,
Yes.
Marcus, my whole life, I guess you could say, I've always been interested in anything around developing another person. People tend to think that I'm a teacher. Like, I mean, just growing up, people assume just throughout my whole life that I'm a teacher. And it's always the first guess. And so that speaks to the path that I've always been on. I was that little girl on the chalkboard with the imaginary classroom teaching. So it followed through, and you know, I train and coaching and all the personal development stuff. So what I would say is that throughout my IT career, my first career, the best part, the most exciting part for me was when I got to mentor my team and teach at the company's university and things like that. But that was only a small part of the job. I wanted that to be the bigger parts of my job. The interaction with individuals on that level, helping people personally. That's what lights me up.
Wonderful. I love it. And I wanted to ask you a little bit, because another of the many things that jumped out of your wonderful background is helping people in relationship and loving themselves. So I think I want to start there as we go into talking about relationships and healing. As I was sharing with you, most people don't think about the self relationship. They don't think about the self-love. They're on a quest to find a husband, a wife, a boo, a bae, a partner, but they forget about loving themselves. Do you agree that loving yourself is probably the last thing that people are trying to do? And why is that a problem? If it is.
Yeah, I don't think people think about that first. When they think about love, they think about the external, someone on the outside. That's probably the first thing. And of course, if we're looking for, romantic love, then yeah, they're jumping to that. But as you mentioned, a better me makes a better we is my motto for that very reason. Because I think when two people show up individually, being as healthy as they can be individually, then the relationship just becomes more amazing. Whatever relationship they get into, it's just on another level.
Yes. And so when people, and invariably we will experience hurts, disappointments, betrayal, all types of things will be a part of our narrative. Talk to us then, when you hear this word healing and you hear it in the context of individuality and relationship, talk to us a little bit about that, because
Mhm.
Most of us are bringing something into a relationship because we maybe haven't dealt with it ourselves.
Yeah, and it speaks to exactly what you were talking about. It's so important for us to remember that even when you're trying to heal a relationship,
Mhm.
you have to work on the healing of the self as well,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Sometimes we go again straight to healing the connection with that person
Mhm.
instead of sitting with ourselves for a while and figuring
Mhm.
ourselves out.
Mhm.
So that's the key piece there. But healing in relationship, what I will say is that you're talking about healing the connection with another person,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And what I have seen, probably the biggest thing that happens when there's hurt
Mhm.
is that trust gets eroded so easily.
Mhm.
If you really think about it, whether it's something as big as infidelity, right, where the trust is care of the betrayal and all that, people feel,
Mhm.
there can be little pieces of trust being eroded along the way. Just
Mhm.
even someone not, if your partner is one that you can't rely on,
Mhm.
they don't typically do what they say they're going to do, they lack integrity.
Mhm.
It may be as simple as running late, or promising to do something in the house, but those things just never, they don't communicate, that it's not going to be done, or whatever it is. The
Mhm.
expectation isn't met, the expectation that they set up isn't met.
Mhm.
Then eventually that happens enough times, yeah, trust is going to be eroded.
Mhm.
So a lot of people think about trust for the big things,
Mm.
the infidelity, the huge things. But
Mhm.
those little pieces, those little moments where, yeah, I thought you were gonna show up for me. I
Mm.
thought you would be on time. I thought
Mm.
you were going to do this. Those, they chip away at
Yeah.
trust relationship.
I love that because I think you could probably then enlighten us, those of us that are early on in relationships, right? Some people in our community are in a new relationship and maybe ignoring the signs of these little small trust factors. And then when something larger happens, you're blown away, even though it was showing you all along that you have reason to pause. So
Yeah.
what are some of, you named some of them, the lack of commitment, lack of, following through on your word. What are some of the small signs that maybe we should say, the hairs on the back of your neck should stand so that you don't put yourself in a pathway where you're so disappointed or feel so betrayed by what someone is really showing you?
I think on the broader level, it's what I just said.
Mhm.
If you're with someone whose word means nothing, you
Mhm.
can't trust it, even the small things. If you're constantly getting disappointed by that person in that way,
Mhm.
that is a huge sign.
Mhm.
Does that person do what they say they're going to do?
Mhm. Mhm.
That is like the foundation right there.
Yeah. I think that is a huge sign. And why do you think we ignore those signs? Why do you think we want it to work so bad, or why do we
Yes,
ignore?
of course. Especially if the physical is there, the physical attraction and all of that. You don't want anything that's
Mhm.
gonna, you know, have you move away from that course that you're on, the track that it looks like you're on with that person.
Mhm.
There are just so many reasons. People are lonely.
Mhm.
Maybe it's been a while since you've had a relationship and you finally found this guy that you're attracted to, and all of that, and then it turns out he's unreliable.
Yeah. Preacher Dee on TikTok says, you feel like you can fix it. I'm watching your comments there. I just want you all to know they're not in the main thread. That's why I'm looking off to the side, but I'm not forgetting about you on TikTok. I love you very much. Thank you so much. She says, you feel like you can fix it. Yes. So sometimes you feel like you can fix it or you want it to work so badly.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes I think maybe, Deborah, people get so used to being in this hurt position that they just take it as a part of normalcy. They're not going to be truthful, which is
that
unfortunate. Yeah.
that is true, but that fixing thing, that's a
Hmm.
big thing.
Hmm.
People believe that, yeah, that will be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say, the safest bet
Mm-hmm.
is, it's like hoping for the best, hoping for things to be fixed, but make sure that you are content if it never gets fixed. If that person never changes, be content. Make sure you're content with that person as they are.
I love that.
The
I love.
fixing is a bonus, whatever it is that you hope with, but know that you can live with the unfixed person.
Yeah, I love that. You can live with an unfixed person. I want somebody to drop that as a hashtag across some platform. You can put that in, and we'll make sure we get that circulating. I
So
want to
many
ask.
people,
Go ahead.
one thing, so many people plan a future with the person they hope that person will become,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
that's where the disappointment really sets in.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I want to double back to ask you about this healing. So once there has been I'm going to call it a breach. You probably have a better clinical term for it, Deborah. Once there's a breach in the relationship, um, do you set a healing goal, a healing amount? What does heal mean in that context?
I think when you think of healing in relationships, you're talking about repairing trust.
Mm-hmm,
That's usually, again, as we mentioned before, one of the first things that really will get eroded.
mm-hmm,
We're talking about deepening the connection,
mm-hmm,
right? That's part of the healing, to being able to go further with that connection or repair the connection.
mm-hmm,
What you'll find is, once, if done right, when people really heal, their connection actually deepens as a result of the process that they had to go through to get there.
mm-hmm,
Because you have to show up
mm-hmm,
being more authentic. You have to start communicating more in those situations in order to repair the situation. And that's usually going many more extra miles than you normally would have in your relationship.
mm-hmm. And Deborah, do both people have to want it equally? Could a person say, well, I think this is you. This is not about me. This is about you. Or do they both have to agree that some healing has to take place?
So that is that is something that, so the way I see it, it takes two,
Mm-hmm,
right? For every action, there's a reaction.
mm-hmm,
And so when someone starts thinking that they are blameless, then we're already on a bad track there.
mm-hmm,
I will tell my clients, I have not seen in all these years a relationship where one person does everything right and the other person is doing everything wrong. It just doesn't exist.
mm-hmm,
And again, it's back to, for every action, there's a reaction. And that's important, because sometimes you can have a bad action and the reaction actually makes it better, and vice versa.
mm-hmm,
So that's where it's so important, the back and forth that they're playing with each other, the fact that they are co-creating every step of the way that
mm-hmm.
relationship,
Yeah.
right? Whatever the result is, they
Mm-hmm.
create it together.
Mm-hmm. I love that. We're talking to Deborah Brown. As you can see, she's a relationship coach and certified life coach. You'll be hearing more about that as we go throughout the evening. And Deborah, we're going to take a quick break, but I want to ask you, when we come back, if you decide to stay in the relationship, how do you stay in that relationship knowing that maybe the healing hasn't fully taken place, or kind of staying in the room with the pain of that hurt or healing, and still stay connected to the relationship? So we want to kind of explore that. And if you have questions, like we see a few that are happening on TikTok, like Preacher Dee, please ask your questions, drop them in the comments, and we'll make sure that we broach those questions with our expert who is here tonight to answer them. I want to take a quick moment for those of you that are interested in love. The 36 questions that lead to love 2.0 is getting ready to come. And so check this out.
Can 36 questions make you fall in love? What if I told you two young psychologists discovered over 30 years ago that just 36 questions could create real closeness between complete strangers? And that the same questions might lead you to love or help you discover more about yourself than you ever imagined. This isn't a dating gimmick. It's an experiment that's been studied and repeated around the world. People walked in as strangers and walked out feeling deeply connected. Some even got married. But here's the twist. It's not just about romance. These questions open the door to vulnerability, honesty, and self-reflection. They help you see who you are, how you love, and what really matters to you in relationships. So whether you're looking for love or looking to learn more about yourself in the process, click the link, sign up, and let's walk through these 36 questions together. Who knows? Love might just be one question away.
Who knows? Love might just be around the corner for you. And those of you that watched our 1.0, you know, we had an amazing time. And so if you're interested, we're going to be opening 2.0 just before Sweetest Day. So you don't want to miss that show that will be coming up very soon. We're talking with Deborah Brown, relationship coach, expert, and life coach about healing in relationships. And Deborah, I wanted to ask you just before the break, I believe, how do we stay in the room with our pain and still stay connected when we're trying to get healing in our relationship?
Yeah. So when we're hurt, I think the natural thing is to separate, right? You want to run away or kick that person out or whatever it is that we do. You just want to separate. So there's a lot to be said for those who hang in there and navigate that journey, that healing journey together. Because yeah, it takes a lot. Given that with a couple that's deciding to navigate that together, communication is going to be big. Acknowledgement is going to be big. You will find, so I will just put it out there. For me, communication is the most important thing. It's so you probably hear me say the word communication 10,000 times before we leave this, because it is important.
Well, we love that here, because I am always saying that is the thread through relationships. Most times people aren't communicating the same thing, communicating their values, talking about the same situation. You got to get alignment around what you're communicating and what you intend. So please, as many times as you need to. Please.
It's the big reminder. I will tell you that the majority of situations with couples, as soon as they start to get the communication right, everything else starts to fall into place. I mean, it's just communication is the key that unlocks all of that.
You kind of have a framework or 3 questions that you say people should be asking,
with
right?
the communication. You mean from the TEDx talk?
Yes.
Okay. So that comes down to delivery. Delivery is a big one. How are you delivering your message, basically?
And let me ask you, Deborah, on that point. Delivering your message. Talk to us for when you've been hurt in a relationship and you're trying to stay in it, how you should be communicating, and how should the person who has hurt you take accountability for how they communicated, knowing that they hurt you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Acknowledgement of feelings and accountability, 2 big things. If you're hanging in there, important, right? All through communication, of course. And so what's interesting is that sometimes the person who did the hurting wants to dictate the terms of how healing should go. Right? It's interesting. That is something that I typically have to remind couples or the person who's done the hurting, that you don't get to dictate how that person heals. Right? It's your role at that point, call it the price you're paying in a sense, to give that person the space that they need.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And what if they don't recognize that, again, what if that person doesn't think either the hurt is that big or that they've really done the hurt? How do you get through to them? How do you get them to see that the way that they deliver makes all the difference when they're being considered the offender?
If they're not seeing the hurt as being big, then they're not listening to their partner and validating their partner's feelings. That's really what it comes down to.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
I mean, they can't determine what that person has
Mhm.
gone through, how deep it's cutting them.
Mhm.
So it's a case where they're not doing a good job of validating that person's feelings. If
Mhm.
their opinion is the one that counts for them and not what the partner is actually
Right.
telling them.
Right. Are there some words or phrases or language that they should use? I'm speaking now of the offender, maybe not to soften the blow, but to show that empathy, to validate that other person's feelings, even if sometimes you don't fully understand or maybe don't fully agree. How do you, engage the person that is proclaiming that you have hurt them and almost to the, you know, um, destruction of the relationship?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes less is more. Just
Mm.
listening and not trying to
Mhm.
defend your position. If you're the one who has done the
Mhm.
hurting, it may not be the time to be defending your
Mhm.
position. If you're truly in
Mm.
in in the business of validating that person's feelings, at that point, it's about listening,
Mhm.
and of course, letting them know that you are willing to go with, or not even willing, but you are you'll take the journey on their time, right?
Mhm.
It puts the ball in their court, in the person who has been hurt, their court. To
Mhm.
So this is where I say sometimes the person who has done the hurting will try to dictate
Mhm.
things. That's the total opposite when you say, when you're ready. I would, that
Mhm.
kind of phrasing tells that person that you're
Mhm.
giving them space and you're there
Mhm.
whenever they're ready.
Mm.
So
I love it. And go
not
ahead.
space,
Yes.
acknowledgement, validation, those are the key things in it for that person for the one who has done the hurting, to
Mhm.
really be aware of, um, when they're being intentional about their communication.
Okay. And what would you say individuals should consider in determining whether a relationship is worth working through versus one that maybe needs to be released?
Yeah, good question. That can be a tough one. How many people have said
Yeah.
they hung in there too long, right?
Oh,
That's a
right.
common thing. Uh, so,
Yeah.
a couple of things. Is that person keeping up with the pattern of hurting you?
Mm.
Right? Are they trying to do better? I mean, if if you're staying in a situation that's going to feel toxic or abusive, and that person doesn't seem like they really care to change anything, then
Mhm.
that's something to definitely evaluate. Um,
Mhm.
the other thing, as far as looking at whether you're hanging in the relationship together, whether it's worth fixing and all of that, a couple of things come up. Are you both willing to work on it? Sometimes it's one
Mhm.
person leading it and the other person is really like wishy-washy, not really there, kind of not knowing how to even maybe tell that person they're not as into it as they are, or whatever the case is. But if two people are willing to work on it, that's already a good sign
Mhm.
to keep the relationship, or
Mhm.
to at least get on the journey of working on it to see what you can make of it. Communication. Are they going to be open? Are you both going to be open? Because that's what it's going to take, right? Showing up authentically, like, as if you're going on a healing journey, you're going to have to get real about stuff. That's what it comes down to. And when you actually get real, and this is what I was mentioning earlier, normally that leads to a deeper connection than even what they thought their best days were before. There's a lot of vulnerability that comes up in a situation like that. If you're going to be real, there's going to be some vulnerability. There's going to be you talking about your needs, you asking for what you want. Those are things that, it it can be vulnerable, right? In your feelings.
Yes.
Not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
So the whole vulnerability thing, that alone, does a lot for connection and intimacy, developing all of that.
Yeah. We're talking to Deborah Brown, as you can see, relationship coach, life coach, and she wants you to take a leap into the best relationships. And part of that, if there's healing that has to happen, you've got to make some decisions if you decide to stay, because healing isn't pretty work. And when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit about that. It is commitment. It is more than performative or perfunctory. It is work. So why don't you click share, whether you're watching on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, and LinkedIn, and have your folks join in. Drop your comments and questions in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer those. We'll be right back after this quick break from one of our partners, DetroitCouture.com. Ladies, if you're looking to have that special piece or outfit, June Rochelle Eaton, who is an entrepreneur, will get you right together. DetroitCouture.com.
Hi, my name is June Rochelle, and I own Detroit Couture. We are a fashion forward women's boutique, and we offer friendly sizes from small all the way up to 3X women's sizes, very generously fit, very great quality. I actually have on one of our pieces today. It's called the Cuffed Up. It's in gray, burgundy, and black and olive. And it actually has a lot of stretch and give. So listen, in this time, we try to make sure that, first of all, it's quality and customer service that we offer our clients. And I'm so glad to have this opportunity to share with you. So go and visit us at DetroitCouture.com.
And June, we thank you for your partnership. And listen, ladies, if you're looking for just the right outfit, just the right piece to go to the wedding, to the bar mitzvah, to the pastor's anniversary, you're going to be traveling to that quintessential event, you want to stop by DetroitCouture.com. We're talking to Deborah Brown, and we're learning that healing isn't pretty. It requires some effort, healing for your own soul and healing the relationship. So Deborah, I want to again thank you for being here and thank you for your time. Tell us a little bit about how do we or what does real time healing look like while we're still trying to show up in a love relationship? Because I know that's hard. You're trying to heal, you're trying to still be committed to the relationship. What does that look like?
So when you say it's not pretty, it's because, yes, it gets messy. It really does, because you are typically confronting some stuff. And this is where, when I said that healing has to involve some real talk, like getting authentic. Yeah, in all of that, you are bringing up facing situations, feelings that really you've been ignoring. Because most times that's what we're doing, ignoring or avoiding. And when you finally...
And you know, we kind of almost live in a society where people want to whitewash stuff, right? When brush it under the rug, sweep it under the rug, and pretend like it's not there. So when you say those things, do we set rules of engagement or ground rules? Because some people will feel uncomfortable, unfortunately, if you have this avoidance and when someone's giving you the bare facts, this is how I felt when you cheated on me. This is how I felt when you spent our money. This is how I felt when this happened. Sometimes people feel like, well, you're just rehashing over and over what we both know happened. But isn't it important to say it and get it out so
Yeah.
that you are both free from the weapon of those words and be able to get it out? How important is that in your ground rules to say we got to be able to say it as many times as we need to say it until we both have a mutual understanding?
This is where the real conversation comes in. That's the real stuff that needs to happen, because it typically, if it happened, if you got to the point where you needed to do healing, then typically a lot has not been said in the past. There are a lot of unspoken things between both of you. And I will tell you, sometimes a first session with a couple that's been through like infidelity or, something really big, that first session can be so messy. And sometimes they come in thinking that it's going to be all, bed of roses in that, as soon as they start working on stuff. But no, the reason that gets messy typically is because they're already hearing things that they didn't know their partner felt or thought. It's like the first experience getting real with what their relationship has been about. All the things that hadn't been said, it's like it all comes out.
How would you encourage someone to have courage to say those things? I mean, we want everybody to be able to have optimal leap coaching, but I know you can't coach everybody. So if you were to advise people in having their own discussions, and of course, if they need to have professional level help, they should. I'm a big advocate of that, and so is this platform and community. But what would you advise them? How do you muster the courage to say, you hurt me and here's why that compounds, because sometimes the hurt is compounding where I've come from, right? If I've come from a place of hurt, I've had hurt in with my parents, or I've had hurt with my siblings, or I had hurt in a past relationship, then maybe I'm not healed, and this just reminds me of that. How do you find the courage to have that conversation?
So I think as a couple, you have to know what you're about. Right? Where are you heading as a couple? Like what is it that you really want from that relationship? If you are looking for a healthy relationship, one with a deeper connection, then that's the kind of stuff that comes with the package. Right? So it's about really getting clear, both of you getting clear on this is what it takes to get where we want to really go. And it's important for that person who's had external things, things that really have nothing to do with the relationship, past things that have happened to them. It's important that they acknowledge those things so that they're not projecting that onto their partner, because then that's not fair either. But it also gives the partner an understanding of where that person is coming from, so they may be able to react differently. Maybe react with compassion more than anger and, jump. That's important information for the partner to know. Because as I mentioned, for every action, there's a reaction. And with that, let's say the partner who's been hurt, who has a hurt past, they act a certain way. The reaction of the partner can either make things better or support that person. I mean, make things worse or better through supporting that person. So that's where that's important. This is where I said sometimes a bad action can be met with a good reaction that makes it better.
Mhm. So should you make room for the messiness? You give permission to the messiness to get as messy, and even if the person is blowing up or losing their cool, give the space for grace for that to
Yes.
happen within
We,
boundaries, or so long as it's not a tool of
yes,
manipulation,
of
right?
course.
Or some way, some output of self sabotage or something like that.
Right.
As long as it's going to help, you know,
Right.
promote the healing. Sometimes, swabbing the scab will promote the healing, and sometimes pulling it off might promote the healing.
Mhm.
But you gotta be able to walk that
And a
finely, I
part
would
of the
think.
messiness as well in healing is the fact that
Mhm.
it's not linear. It
Mm,
just isn't. It
great point.
sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm over it. I'm good. It's the best day I'm on the right track. And then you just have
Hmm.
something happen that triggers you
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it sends you
Hmm.
right back
Yeah,
there. But right back
yeah,
there isn't really right back there. It's just part of the healing process. It may feel like being
yeah,
sent back to the beginning, but no,
yeah,
it's you're still growing every time that you get triggered or go through something like that. It gives you a chance to go deeper with that situation. So
yeah,
you're really growing,
yeah,
although sometimes it will feel like a backslide. You're actually growing.
yeah. I love that. And, I can relate to that in loss, which I know you also do coaching for folks in loss. There are times that I'm feeling like, and it's been 11 years that my mom that has
Yeah.
passed away. And there are times it can feel like day one. I could see a mother who reminds me of her, or I can smell a fragrance, and I can be at tears at ground zero,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes it feels worse in that moment than it did December 15th,
Right.
2014. And so I realized that it really isn't worse. I really have gotten back. I've made some progress. I rebound faster. I
Mhm.
might recoil hard, but I rebound faster. There's some real resilience that's been built. So I think that there's that parallel there,
Yes.
that sometimes the healing it feels worse as you're going through the process. It feels like it's never going to get better. It feels like nothing you do, all of this that you're going through is just messy for
Hmm.
messy's sake. But actually, you're building that healing muscle to be able to move forward in the relationship. I
Definitely.
love that.
And
I love
grief
that.
is a very, very good example. You know,
Mhm.
healing is like transforming how you let the hurt affect you, right? So you can think
Mhm.
of it as day one, when your loved one dies. That's like
Mhm.
excruciating pain. A
Mhm.
year later, you're probably not collapsing under that every day as you did in the first week,
Mhm.
first month, however
Mhm.
long. Everybody's journey is different when it
Mhm.
comes to healing there. But the way that we um, transform how that hurt affects us changes. Sometimes we get to the point where we have
Mhm.
the memory and we smile. It's no longer tears, but you smile. I love that saying. I can't remember where it's from, but you know the saying where it says, "Don't cry because it's over, but smile because it happened."
Oh, I do. I don't know who that
I
is either, but
love
yes, I
that.
do know that saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is something that I remind when I'm dealing with people who've gone through grief and so forth, or going through it. That's something I
Mhm.
remind them that there will be that day where
Yeah.
they really understand that.
Yeah. I want to pivot right there, Deborah, just for a second for our LinkedIn folks, because sometimes that grief space and journey that you're walking through impacts how you show up in relationships at work. What would you advise people who are aware that there are people in on their teams who are going through a grief space on how they might help them through the healing process? And for the individual themselves. You want to show up authentically, but you don't want to in a way where it impacts who you are or how you're interacting with your colleagues. So can you share a little bit
Right.
about that?
So with that, I mean, again, you mentioned the word. There's authenticity there that's needed. But communication, again, is good because people need to know what's going on some level, right? In order to be able to kind of make space for you, give you that room that maybe if you break down, they understand. Think about not knowing that someone has gone through something and they're breaking down versus knowing that somebody just returned from work, turned, to work because they just had a death in the family. Can you see where it will be met with differently? The whole reaction there will be different. So my favorite word, communication, right? Not that you are going to be telling everyone, you're not going to be comfortable telling everyone your business or going deep with everyone, but enough for people to be aware that if something is off, hey, I'm going through something, especially bosses, right? Hopefully people have bosses where, that are understanding and, can even make some accommodations for that sometimes, depending on what's needed in the moment. So it's communication, maybe asking for what you want, what you need. Some people forget that it's important to ask for what you need. It may not always be a yes, but maybe that person will try to accommodate you in other ways. But when you're hurting, when you're trying to heal, your needs are important. Recognizing your needs, just even being aware of your needs. Let's just start there. That's important.
Yes.
And then
Yes. We're talking to Deborah.
and communicating
sorry.
it, of
Go ahead.
course. Yeah.
Yes. We're talking to Deborah Brown, relationship coach, life coach, and we're getting a wealth of information. So you should be clicking share to share this content with someone who is walking through healing for themselves or in relationship. Could be marriage, could be a coworker, it could be a friendship. So Deborah, I want to pivot and talk to you a little bit about the tools that maybe people can use in those conversations, in those healing journeys, how they might initiate hard conversations, how they might use silence and presence, or name it, feel it, frame it. Talk to us a little bit about tools that people can use, whether they're in a marriage or in with a coworker where there is some breach of trust or something that has happened that they're trying to repair.
So I like that you said name it, because naming our feelings, that's important, right? That you'll find that just being able to name the feeling helps it to dissipate, actually. Right? There is that clarity. I know what's going on with me. It's also listening to your body, right? It's kind of like when we have that knot in our stomach, that's a physical response to what we're going through, right? So I'll go back to communication. If you're dealing with someone, it comes down to communicating what you're feeling, what you need.
And when I'm communicating with someone, let's say I'm the offender, is it okay for me to say, you seem hurt or you seem angry? Should I say that? Is that something I should or shouldn't say? Should I just be silent and hear them out? Or should I say what I'm observing? Is that a part of the process of dialogue, of naming it, framing it? Or should I just be quiet?
Actually, when I was talking about naming it, I was more talking about naming it for ourselves. right? Naming what we are personally going through. I think it would be more depending, you're the person you're dealing with, right? Sometimes telling someone that they seem angry is not going to be, it's just going to just take things on a path you don't want to be on. Maybe it's a case of inquiring and letting them tell you what they're feeling, right?
Okay.
You don't want to jump to assumptions when something is already a sensitive situation, a sensitive environment. Let them tell you. That way, two things are being accomplished right there. You're showing them that you are interested in their experience, the experience they're having, right there and then you're getting to know what they're going through. So it helps both parties.
So just be curious. Curiosity
is
there.
important. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What other tools would you say? What about the power of silence? Should you just, because oftentimes when it gets messy, it gets heated, right? And people tend to want to respond. They're listening to respond, right? And so they've already queued up the response to say, no, I didn't do that, or whatever it is that they're responding with, instead of letting there be the silence, the power of being present and silent to affirm to the other person, I'm validating how you're feeling and giving space for us to both feel it before I actually respond, because sometimes I just need to be silent. I need to breathe through. I need to get my emotions together when you're saying to me, you cheated like your daddy was a cheater. I'm just making up something. Or you're saying you're horrible to every employee. Or you're saying, don't bring your problems to work. I know you and your wife have issues. Those can be inflammatory statements. And sometimes silence is a powerful tool to just say, okay, let me sit and breathe because that landed on me the wrong way. And I want to breathe and give us both space to hear what has been said and even what hasn't.
Right. So a couple of things. So what you brought up there, the breathing and all that, self-regulation is important, right? That's really what's going on there. When you know exactly what you need to do in the moment to calm things down, at least on your end, whatever is in your power, right? So self-regulation is important. You mentioned something important as well, and it's the whole thing around, and it's what I mentioned earlier, less is more. Sometimes that silence is the more, right? And as you are going through the you're this, you're that, blame is not going to help things. So removing blame as much as possible from the dialogue. And again, if you are trying to validate that person's feelings, don't get defensive. So the blame and defensiveness and all of that, no room for that in a situation like that if you are trying to validate that person's feelings.
Yeah. And sometimes I think, Deborah, that it's hard for some people to do that, right? Because in the heat of the moment, if you feel like you're being attacked, and it could even sometimes be justifiable, but no one wants to feel like they're being attacked, or no one wants to feel like they're the bad guy, even if they are, right? It's hard sometimes for people to self-regulate those emotions. So what would you say to those people who you are being attacked, or you are being cussed out? You're being, though I would not say on LinkedIn that you all should be cussing anybody out at work, right? I'm HR, so I wouldn't want you to do that. But let's just say you're in a tense situation where you're being accused of wrongdoing, some of which may be right, some which may be exaggerated. Instead of wading through saying, well, this part is right, this part isn't, which might not be an effective way, because you're right, you're in the blame game. What should you do to keep the focus on healing?
Yeah. So if you are keeping the focus on healing, sometimes it's not about you. It's about the other person. And when you are caught up in your story, you're making it about you. That's where I'd go with that. Sometimes we have to resist making it about us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're talking to Deborah Brown, and I see folks across other platforms. I'm looking for your questions. So I'm wading through some of the comments because they're coming a little faster on TikTok. So I'm trying to come back to them. But Deborah Brown is a relationship coach and an internationally certified life coach, an associate coach, a coach of coaches. And I want you to consider that healing on your journey, if it is involving another person, to Deborah's point, it isn't just about you. And oftentimes it isn't about you because we all bring a set of perspectives and experiences to our situation, which might be from some hurt or trauma or situations that have nothing to do with the present situation. So you have to remember, if jointly you're trying to find healing, whether it is a couple, whether it is a friendship, whether it is a partnership at work, that each of you probably have as much to lose and gain as the other. And you should be mindful of everything that you brought that you want to lose and everything that you want to walk away with as a gain. Deborah,
I want to
go
bring
ahead.
up something because this is important, just
Mhm.
even to the, well, things we've said earlier and the last response. You want to be intentional. What's the goal? What are you trying to achieve in that moment? That's a good question to answer for yourself, because once we are intentional in a certain direction, then we're going to do whatever it takes to get to that endpoint. Correct? So that also helps, right? When you're there, it's like, okay, what do I want to get out of this moment here? What is my intention? How do I want this conversation to go? That will help you prioritize how you respond. Because if we have a certain intention, a certain end goal, then you're going to end up communicating in a way that gets you there.
Yes. Yes. I want to ask you this. We're coming down to the close tonight, and we're going to have you back because this topic around healing and relationships could go on and on and on. I think I want to bring in some people to ask you some questions live, and I appreciate you
Okay.
doing this live. Might be a little bit different than your
Maybe.
podcast, and you'll get a chance to talk a little bit before we go. Sometimes people will make a decision not to continue to invest in the healing in a relationship or divest, right? But they're still hurt, betrayed, broken. What would you suggest as the steps for someone who has decided to exit that relationship, be it a work relationship, a friendship, a marriage, or partnership, but they're still broken? They didn't get the healing that they sought. How do they move forward?
Well, first of all, it's acknowledging your feelings, right? That's important. Sometimes we don't do that step to really sit with ourselves and just really embrace what it is that we are personally going through. So acknowledging feelings and in that case like that, important. First step. I'm going to say, be kind to yourself, be compassionate. That we don't do enough of that too, right? It's really in moments like that, when we are hurting, we need to embrace self-love even more. And that's where the being kind to ourselves really comes in.
And how does that look? Because, I was saying in the green room, self-love is foreign to so many people because you even communicating with yourself, even talking to yourself, even, after having your meditation or prayer, if you're a person of faith, like me, a Christian person of faith, after talking to God, you should be talking to yourself, right? But sometimes we aren't telling ourselves you're amazing, or you need rest, or whatever it is that we should say. We aren't kind to ourselves because we haven't practiced kindness with ourselves. We aren't compassionate because we don't know what that looks like for self-compassion. So tell us a little bit more. What does that look like? What is kindness to self? What is
I
compassion to
think it's
self look like?
exactly where you went with that. It's actually being able to recognize when we're being critical of ourselves, too critical. It's, this is something that's commonly said. Sometimes we speak to ourselves in a way that we would not speak to our best friend. Can you become your own best friend?
I love that. I
Right.
love that.
So it's the
I love
same
that.
respect we show others. Hey, turn it on ourselves.
The same care, custody, love, hug, affection, adoration, attention. We should be our best friend
Exactly.
doing it,
Yeah.
right? Be our own cheerleader. Because a lot of times your best friend will say, yes, you can do that. Oh, yes, you look good in that. Oh, yes, you can. Whereas we wouldn't dare say that to ourselves. We wouldn't be kind to ourselves. We'd be kind to our best friend, but we wouldn't take out, we'd take out time for our best friend and say, oh, let's do lunch, or let's do this, or I just called to check on you, or I'm just writing a note. But we wouldn't write a note to ourselves, or we wouldn't take ourselves to lunch, or we wouldn't do something kind, an act of kindness for self. That is because we think we're supposed to be selfless, or where does that come from, Deborah?
So we need to do self-care. And people mix that up, the whole selfishness versus self-care, two different things. Self-care is just really being able to nurture yourself. That's really what it is about. And if you're hurting, in the same way you will deal with a little child that's hurt, you're gonna, scoop that child up and love on them and tell them it's going to be okay, and you show all of that. Yeah, we need to do it to ourselves. And then the next step, if you're still hurting, if you know that you're going through a lot of pain with that breakup or divorce, then yeah, get real, prepare for the journey. It's going to take a bit of a healing journey. So that's not something you should expect to get over in the next week. Although everybody has their own path to healing, different time, there's no one time. But get real with the fact that this may be hurting for a little bit, and I just have to hang in there.
Yeah.
And just feel what I need to feel. It's important to feel. So feeling leads to the healing.
Love it. Deborah, I want to thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about Optimum Leap Coaching and how we can connect with you. I'm going to put the QR code up here so that people who want to spend some time with you, they can get in touch with you through this QR code. But tell us a little bit about the different types of coaching that you do across the different spectrum.
So with Optimal Leap, the whole goal there, I like to call it leaping to your best self. That's really where that comes from. And LEAP actually stands for life exceeding all possibilities, right? That's the little hidden meaning there of LEAP. But with that, I deal with individuals and couples who are going through things, whether it's personally or professionally, that may be keeping them stuck and just not being able to show up, as their best self. That's really what it comes down to. And if you look at it that way, then you're dealing with sometimes there are professional things that just don't allow us to show up as our best self, whether it's lack of confidence, self-esteem, all sorts of things, relationship issues on the job, whether it's with a coworker or a boss or, things like that. Right. And then there's the personal stuff, whether it's your intimate relationship or family relationship, siblings or parents, things like that. Just in general, wherever you are not, whatever is holding you back from just being your best, that's what I help people to overcome. individuals.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Any closing thoughts that you want to share with us about the journey through healing and relationships or healing for self that you want people to walk away knowing and encouraged to go and put to use
Yeah,
today?
so I will again say my favorite word: communication is important. We need to start communicating what we feel, what our needs are. We need to exercise vulnerability. Of course, where we feel that there is emotional safety, right? That's important. Um, Being able to acknowledge things, acknowledgement and accountability, important things, right? So the healing journey, I'm going to bring it down to communication, getting real with your communication, because that leads to authenticity, that leads to vulnerability, and then of course acknowledging your feelings, validating your partner's feelings if we're dealing with something, an external situation, a relationship, and um, owning your stuff. Just own your stuff. Get real about everything, and you're going to be far better off.
Wonderful. Deborah Brown, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been my pleasure and honor to have you. I would love to have you back to, bring more members in the community to come and ask you questions and glean from your expertise. It's been amazing to have you. People are saying thank you on TikTok. I wish we could show this feed here and on Facebook. Thank you for joining us and on Instagram as well. So I am so grateful that you are here. And I hope that you connect with Deborah Brown. She is on LinkedIn. And if you, we will flash the QR code again before we go. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Deborah,
for
for
having me.
joining
It
us.
was fun.
I enjoyed
Take
it.
care.
Thank you. We're grateful to have Deborah Brown. And as you can see, she's a wealth of knowledge in the sphere of relationships, all kind of relationships. And if you think about it, all of us have relationships, right? Now, in the Love and Stuff community, we start with the quintessential love, which is God. And he is love, right? And he is almost wooing us with every chapter of the Bible and wooing us in life to love him back with all that we have. And our neighbors as ourselves. That self love is the neglected love, and really a place, a fulcrum of sorts, when you're talking about loving somebody else. So, the first thing when healing is needed is to make sure heal thyself, that you are healed, right? And we walk through life, through the vicissitudes of life, where we're inflicted in so many different ways, with many different isms, we're inflicted, right? Inflicted with the various circumstances that we face on the job, in our communities, right? And in relationships. But the first relationship that you control is the one with you, right? Are you healed? Have you put to use the tools that are available to you? Some great ones tonight. You should rewind so you can hear some of the great nuggets and gems that Deborah has dropped. Because if you're not, you're going in that relationship probably with some blinders about some signs that are there all along, as Deborah was telling us. When someone is unable to keep their word and then they're showing you infidelity, isn't that a larger sign of that lack of keeping their word or integrity? But often when you are in a place that you're not healed, it's almost like you have some blinders or rose colored glasses that you don't always see clearly. So the goal is, to the extent we can, because we're flawed people, right? But to get as much healing and walk in that journey and process, as messy as it is, first for you. And then a brilliant thing that Deborah said: determine, if you're in a relationship, whether or not that relationship requires, calls for you to be able to live with the breach if it's never changed. I think that's powerful. It's a tough decision to make, whether you'll stay in a relationship, if that person never gets to the level of healing or understanding or to the level of accountability, could you stay in that relationship? And if not, you have to have the journey forward, Deborah says, to begin healing sometimes outside of that relationship. Sometimes the healing change is only going to be in you. But the main thing is that you create an environment and a world in which you are constantly working toward your self love. And that self love will build some resiliency as you go. And when you experience healing or experience a breach, rather, that you will be able to move forward toward that healing. I want you to make sure that if you have heard something from Deborah that you say, hey, I want to check her out, scan that QR code or go follow her on LinkedIn, Deborah Brown. Find her. She's connected to my page, but you'll find her. If you saw her face, you'll find her. Her face is on her page, on her profile, and connect with her. Here you can book directly with her to schedule some time and see whether or not you're an individual couple. You have some peers at work that you want to learn how to navigate some things that have happened on the job. Healing can happen everywhere, but you've got to be a willing participant, which is another gem that she shared, even though you might think it's logical to expect everybody to want healing, but not always. Not everybody is seeking healing. So you got to make sure that you're communicating, which is a large thread here in the Love and Stuff community. And Deborah said it several times, to make sure that you're on the same page about what you both say that you want. So I'm grateful for having Deborah here. And listen, you want to stay tuned and locked in to the Love and Stuff for October. This is our last show in September. October, we got some great shows coming up, some of them from the inbox. Of course, we've got 36 questions that lead to love 2.0 coming just before Sweetest Day. And of course, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and our Sisters Circle will be back to close out the month in October with women who are survivors, and we will have special tributes to those that have become angels. But we want to raise awareness around breast cancer. It is at an epidemic level, especially among African American women. And I want you to know that we're relying on the Love and Stuff community and those that are connected to us to raise awareness so that we can find cure and hope for those that are experiencing a very tumultuous and very tempestuous time in their lives. I'm Marcus Holmes. I'm all about helping you up your love game. I am the love activist. I'm advocating for better love for you and me. That love might be with the quintessential love who is God. You want to learn who he is and love him more. You want to do all that you can to love yourself so that when you love a neighbor, a friend, a community, a boo, a bae, a husband or wife, a partner, that you will do it from a place of authenticity and worthiness because you love yourself first. If that resonates with you, wherever you're watching this, go connect with me on that page so that you can stay connected to the Love and Stuff community. It's an amazing community filled with people like Bilal Muhammad, who's here, and Sandra D, who's here, and others who will help walk the journey with you through love. Our journeys don't all look the same, but if we're all going in the same direction and that's up in our love, then we should be traveling together. Join in this journey. It's an amazing time and place. And I hope that you will stick with us on the journey in love and stuff. Thank you for a great evening.